As you may have noticed, I was away at London Comic Con for the weekend, and it's also my birthday today, and what have I come home to? Well, I've come home to a lovely gift from the developers of PayDay 2, or more specifically, the producer Almir Listo, who has defended the decision to add paid microtransactions to the PC version of this particular game. So, of course, I think most of you are pretty knowledgeable on the whole thing that happened, considering there's a huge controversy and whatnot about it. But basically, the black market update added random drops for virtual safes, which are only crackable with a drill that will cost you real money. And then these loot that you got from the safe would give you game-changing stats, and you could then sell them in the marketplace. And as I discussed previously, well, the community was not exactly pleased about this. But now, Listo has argued on Reddit with the community. Basically, the main point of contention for a lot of people was that Listo himself had previously made it clear that microtransactions were not on the cards, and another developer basically flat out promised that they would never be part of the game. And Listo is basically arguing, well, this is several years ago, and times have changed, and Overkill now needs more money to keep the game running. And you may remember as well that 6 months ago they actually permanently reduced the price of PayDay 2, but this didn't actually bring in as many new copies as Overkill were hoping. So what did Listo actually have to say for himself on Reddit? And he said, quote, "We didn't see the result we anticipated, and we've had to think of other ways to make sure we can continue creating content in the pace we want in order to keep PayDay fresh and exciting." Now, Overkill also tripled the PayDay 2 team size after the game grew in popularity and after they signed a partnership with 505 Games, who are indeed the publisher. And he continued, quote, "We have a partnership with our partner 505 Games where we have a deal to produce a specific amount of content until 2017. However, we at Overkill want to create more than what we and 505 Games agreed on. We want to do everything we can to make PayDay 2 as awesome as possible. In order to do that, we have made the decision to triple the size of the crew. To ensure that we can keep the size of the team, we decided that the best approach was to introduce the black market update to the game." And, well, he remained pretty much unapologetic for the introduction of microtransactions, and of course pointed to the fact that Overkill did add in the chance of random drops to be drills in gameplay, which was in response to the controversy and was kind of like a band-aid over the huge fire that was happening at that point. And despite the controversy, the drills are now making money. And he finished up, quote, "From an economical standpoint, however, completely based on statistics, we can already see that the black market update is working as we intended. Right now, things are looking pretty great. But I'm sure many of you, including those of you who are members of the community, are thinking, well, why did they go back on their previous promise?" Well, his answer was kind of flat, to be honest. He basically said that times have changed and the game didn't have microtransactions at launch like some games have, and the whole matter had been blown out of proportion. And he said, quote, "At the time, there were games that were released with in-game microtransaction systems at launch. Players were asked to pay for the full game and then continue to spend money directly after the initial purchase. If you had asked me then, there'll be no way we would have added a system like we just did." And he then pointed out that microtransactions have only come after 2 years for paid DLC and free editions, and these editions, of course, are not as profitable as they once were, given the game has been out quite a while. And his last 2 cents that he threw in were, quote, "2 years ago, people would have us instantly start work on PayDay 3 right after we released PayDay 2, like developers usually do. Instead, we decided to continue work on PayDay 2 because we wanted to make it an incredible co-op experience. 88 developers updates later, we have to ensure the future survival of the game. Fast forward to today, 2.5 years later, and the addition of the black market update. There's been a lot of articles written by a lot of people claiming a lot of things about us, our intentions, and the effect this has on the community as a whole, and the future of PayDay 2. It's a bit hard to take some of these people serious when you know they don't even play the game. I think the problem here is people in positions of power in media and elsewhere making uninformed clickbait articles about things that matter to a lot of people instead of doing some serious legwork to get their facts straight." Now, I can certainly see where he's coming from. You know, money isn't coming in as much as it was previously, of course. The hype around the game is, you know, not as much as it was, of course, around the time of release and the months following. The game has been out quite a while, and while, of course, they're still getting more people joining, it is, of course, slowing down, and they can no longer continue this sort of breakneck pace of updates that they've been doing. As I said, 88 updates since the game actually came out. So I can see where he's coming from, but it's still a bit of a dick move. I don't think people would have been as pissed if it hadn't been game-changing stats. If it had been like, here's a silly cosmetic item, or a skin, or a hat, or something like that, people probably still would have been upset because it will still going directly against what they previously said. But they probably wouldn't have been as upset because, well, at least there's no advantage to be gained by you wearing this golden hat with a flower on top or whatever the balls. So yeah, there were other ways they could have done microtransactions if microtransactions were really needed, and obviously without seeing their account books I can't say whether or not they were needed. No amount of research will tell me that unless they want to come and to talk to me in an interview. That would be great, but I doubt they will. Regardless of all that though, I still think, yeah, the changes they made to the drills, the fact you can earn them in gameplay is better, but I think the whole experience is going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I wouldn't really blame them. Even if the developers hadn't directly promised it would be kind of bad, and it's pretty bad that they pretty much outright said, oh no, we'll never do that, and 2.5 years later, they've done it. And yes, you could argue that's a long time ago, but they still said it. They still said it, and you can't expect people to not remember something like that. So I don't blame people for being upset. Now we know why they did it. I suspected this was probably the reason. They didn't just add it for shits and giggles. Most likely, probably did it just to continue development, and I understand that, but I also understand why people were upset. So, love to hear your thoughts though, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.